Hello and welcome to Module 213, Physical Disabilities and Personal Care. This is the first video lesson and it focuses on the content and what you need to do to pass this module. In this course, we will cover four main areas. We'll look at common physical disabilities or conditions that you may encounter as a CSW or EA. I will lecture on the ones that are the most common, and you'll have an assignment that looks at some other conditions that, while not quite as common, you may experience or encounter. We'll also look at practices, meaning both the things that you must do, the specific techniques, and the values and ethics that you'll need to bring to this work in areas such as feeding, lifting and transferring, and personal hygiene care, just to name a few. We'll also look at how you can make sure that you remain healthy as you're doing this kind of work. And we'll look at the various resources and models of care that may come into the picture when supporting people with physical disabilities. In order to pass this course, it is usually required that students do a practical component. However, the ability to model or practice or demonstrate these physical things is far more difficult to do outside of the classroom. And so for those of you who are in the first semester of the program, we will likely defer this part until we're back into the classroom and we can actually do it. For those of you who are in the second semester, if we're lucky enough to get back in the classroom, we'll try to build in time to do that. But if for some reason we cannot do that, I will calculate your mark from the other parts below. There'll be a test online worth 30%. It'll cover all of the content in these videos, and you should make sure that you are available to do it on the date it's scheduled. You'll be notified by that, and like you've seen with other ones, the exam period will remain open usually for a 12-hour or 14-hour period, and there'll also be a time limit on the test itself. The test will be closed book in this case, and you'll be working as an individual. You'll receive 20% for the things that we normally consider to be part of in-class participation, such as being in attendance, which in this case means watching all of the video lectures, as well as watching the videos I link you to. And they're particularly important in this course because they're links to videos that usually demonstrate particular techniques, and that's the only way we can actually demonstrate in this particular one. You'll be expected to journal, and I'm going to try and create an online blog that allows you to do a digital version of this, but if we can't, you can type it into a journaling form and submit it to me by email as we have in the past. And in-class participation in discussions, optional sessions, and reviews will also be part of this grade. So all of that will equal to 20%. And you'll also have an assignment in the form of a web research fact sheet. You'll find everything you need on the internet in order to do this. I will send you a template, I will send you a due date, and I will send you a topic. Your job will be to accurately and completely fill in the template. The aim at the end of this is to have everybody complete an individual one and have them be to the quality that I can distribute a booklet of all of these fact sheets to the entire class so that they have a resource they can use in their future. The questions on the fact sheet include the incidence of the particular disorder you're assigned, and that simply means how commonly does it occur. This is typically identified as a number out of 100,000, meaning 100,000 in our population, or sometimes as a percentage. And either of those is acceptable, but it is very important that your data comes from a reliable source, that it is as current as possible, and whenever possible, it should be from a Canadian source. If you can't find a Canadian source and you have to use something from the US, Australia, or the UK, those again coming from a reliable source and from a current source, that would be acceptable. You should also describe the symptoms associated with the diagnosis you're assigned. And I have seen students sometimes go out of their way to try and find very obscure or rare symptoms, and that's not what I want. I want the common ones. I want the ones that are associated with diagnosing that disorder, and I want to focus on the physical. There may be symptoms in the emotional, behavioral, or cognitive domains as well, and you can certainly list those, but this course is a course on physical disabilities, and if you've done this correctly, then a person should be able to look at your fact sheet and say, hey, the person I support has these symptoms, and perhaps they might be inspired to get that person to a doctor or to look into whether or not that person has been diagnosed with a physical disability. You should also understand the causes or describe the causes if they are known. Sometimes they're not known, and you should say that in your sheet if that is the case, if research is still not sure of the answer. And in particular, I'd like you to indicate whether or not your disease can be conveyed through infection, if a person can be contagious. So it's really important for you to make sure that you understand what that concept means. You must get reliable sources. I would recommend at least 3. In fact, I'll expect at least 3. And you must cite them in APA. And as always, you can check with me if you're not sure whether or not you have correct citation. The disorders that I will cover include this list, and I will have a bunch of brief videos on each of these, including links to other people's videos that will help you. And again, you need to watch those. And this is the list of all the various diagnoses that I will have fact sheets created. You don't need to know this list right now. I will send you a list that has your name beside one of them, and that is the one you'll be expected to research. You will also have a due date, a cover sheet, and a template form. That's it for the end of this video, and in the next video we'll start diving into specific diagnoses. In this case, we'll look at cerebral palsy.